Beta, can you hear me, all of you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So these are the three periods of history that we can now tell separately as to what was the medieval period about, what the ancient period was about, and what is the modern period of history about. So after it, we come to the next part, which is, what is the next part? Yes, who will read now?
Ma'am, you have ND meeting, so what we are discussing?
What you have to?
Ma'am, you have ND meeting, so what we are discussing now?
Beta, I can't understand. Please say it once again, what you're asking.
Ma'am, you have ND meeting, so I join now. So can
Okay,
you
okay,
tell me
okay.
what we
I
are
ended the
discussing?
meeting. Yes, yes. The meeting got ended because of the internet issue. Now, after rejoining, I just told you the modern period. I was explaining you the three periods, no? So I just spoke about the modern period of history, which is related to the recent past. It is also called the history of the
Okay.
recent times. And in this period, we talk about new inventions and new ideas that have taken place. I just told this much. Now, after the three
Okay,
periods of
ma'am.
history, after these three periods of history, let us come to the sources of history. Now, what is the so? What do you mean by the sources of history? It means that something from which we come to know about our history. Now, that thing can be in any object form, and it can also be in any written form. So we have two sources of history. What are those two sources of history? Let us just see. Can all of you see the board? All of you can see the board?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So when we talk about the sources of history, see, now you can see, all of you.
Yes,
We have them in we have two different types of sources. One is the archaeological source. Archaeological source, and the other one is the literary source. Now children, see, the people who used to live in the past, they used different types of things, they used different types of paintings, different types of metals, different types of various things. So whatever is left, whatever has remained, any object, that comes under the archaeological source. The archaeological source can be of different types. It can be monuments, it can be coins, it can be pictures, it can be sculptures, or any other object. That comes under the archaeological source. While in the literary source, what is the literary source? It is in the written form. Literary sources is always in the written form. People used to write down something, they used to write down poetry, they used to write down letters, they used to write down various other things like autobiography or anything. So all of it comes under the literary source. We come to know about the history through these two sources. Now, in these two sources, main The main source is the archaeological source and the literary source. You can be asked the question. You can be asked the question. Name 3 different types of archaeological sources. Then you will name any of the 3, right? If I ask you name the 2 sources of history, you will answer archaeological source and literary source. Is that fine? Is it clear? Yes. So let's read about the sources of history now. Who will read? Manya. Manya, please start reading. Beta, sources of history. The last paragraph.
This one. Of the past. But how do we come to know about it? To learn about our past, you can look at old photographs and old things used in the past. You can learn something.
You can learn about
Present past that they are and your photographs and historian.
a historian is much like a detective, looks for evidences and clues and puts them together to understand a series of events. So what does a historian do? We all know that historian is a person who studies history, right? So what he does, he puts together different events. Okay? He studies history and what does he do? He looks for clues. Clues means hints, different things. Then he puts them together. If he collects a few clues, what does he do? He puts them together to understand a series of events, to understand that how an event began, then what happened in the middle of the event and how it ended. So he puts all the clues together to understand a series of events.
Ma'am, I am sure to say
Yes, beta, say.
something. And we have to write this on in our
Yes, you can write it in your copies. In after the 3 periods of history, you can write this also, sources of history. Everybody just write it. I will write down a few more sources here so that you will have it like this.
and plain language.
बेटे जहां आपने वो लिखा था ना 3 periods of history, under it write this 2 sources of history. Start writing from here 2 sources of history and make like this. Fine.
Excuse me, ma'am. Is there something written under the tools?
Under tools, no, nothing is written under tools, beta.
Ma'am, I can't see the board properly.
Now can you see?
Ma'am, we have to write this in the book. Ma'am, we have to write this in a notebook.
Yes, beta, you have to write in your SST copy.
Ma'am, we write from under the 3 periods of history. Ma'am, we write, ma'am,
Yes, beta.
from we start.
Beta, you have
Ma'am,
to start from here.
start
Two
right.
sources of history. Are you, listen to me, are you attending your SST class for the first time? Is there any student in the class who
Yes,
is,
ma'am,
okay. Okay, if there is any student in the class who is
Right.
attending the work, oh sorry, the class for the first time, then I will send you all the work done till now. Is it okay? Just leave 2 pages. No, leave 3 pages. I will just send you the work right now, beta. Just see what all has been done and then you can do it. This is class 4th A, right?